well, good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. We're looking forward to a wonderful 2022 program, hopefully most of which will not be over Zoom, but we are so glad to see you all today. My name is Meagan Sexton, and I have the honor of being your 2022 CBN president, and I'm so glad to see everybody today. We would like to begin this program with a huge thank you to all of our sponsors who have renewed for 2022 and now all of our new sponsors and supporters this year. We could not continue our mission of providing support to families and local Catholic schools without all of you. If you have an interest in sponsorship, please reach out to Julie or any of the board members, and we would be happy to provide you with more information. We are also delighted to welcome 3 new board members this year. We have Tommy McCluskey, who will be joining us from Palm Facilities. We have Tim Schofield, who will be joining us from Rupert. And we have Greta Ventmo, who will be joining us from DC Government. So welcome to all 3 of you. Thank you so much for your time. We have a few more vacant seats on the board, so if you are interested, please do not hesitate to reach out. It's a great group and we'd love to have you. For those who haven't heard, our 2021 gala raised over $75,000 for Catholic education, which brings our running CBN total to over $1 million in donation to Catholic schools and scholarships for students. The essay contest for 2022 is underway, and we look forward to celebrating our winners in April at our scholarship breakfast. Our supporter directory is now on the website, so please make sure to take a look and be sure to refer to some of our businesses within Catholic Business Network. It would be much appreciated. We will be doing a needs and leads today after the program, like we do at our in-person meetings, so please hang around afterward if you have anything to share. Please join me in welcoming our favorite board member, Anna Chapa, the Executive Vice President of Don Bosco Cristo Rey, and she's going to be introducing our speaker today. Anna, thank you so much.
Meagan, yikes, favorite board member. That's a lot to live up to, but I'm thrilled to be here and thrilled to be with all of you today. Like many of us, I wish we could be doing it in person over a cup of coffee, but we'll just have to do it at a distance and hope to be together again soon. I have the honor and privilege of introducing our guest speaker this morning, who's somebody who is not a new person to our community and to the CBN community, but certainly new to his role here at Don Bosco Cristo Rey. So I'm here to welcome Mark Shriver. He, as many of you know, has a career of leadership here in the DC metro area, previously leading U.S. programs at Save the Children and started at the advocacy arm of Save the Children Action Network in 2014. In 2003, joined the Maryland House of Delegates, and so has proven a life of service to the community here in Maryland, and certainly a career and life of service to youth, particularly those at risk and from underserved areas. So we are absolutely beyond delighted to have him as our 3rd president of Don Bosco Cristo Rey and our first lay president. So I will here turn it over to Mark, who will share more about himself. So thank you, Mark, for being at Don Bosco and being here this morning.
Thank you, Anna. Can you hear me okay? Anna is literally the next thin wall across me, so I can hear her and the echo goes back and forth there. I don't have any personal conversations, Anna, because as you know, I can hear everything now. So I'm glad you're the favorite board member, and everybody that I've worked with over the last couple of months at Don Bosco Cristo Rey has said such wonderful things about Anna, and they said it before I came on board here, and they were right. She's been terrific to work with over the last couple of months. So excited to be working with her and the entire community here at Don Bosco Cristo Rey. Thank you so much for inviting me. It's great to be back. I see a number of faces that are familiar, and I'm excited there are a number of faces that I don't know. Some of the ones that are more familiar, like Chad Thompson, I don't know whether I really want to see him this morning. That's why I'm drinking my Dunkin' Donuts coffee. But it is great to be with everyone. When Anna told me that I get to say a few words, I thought about it, and I was thinking about it on the way over, driving this morning. And honestly, I didn't quite know where to go because I could go in any number of different directions. And I called up my brother to talk about the trade deadline yesterday in the NBA. And we talked about basketball for a couple of minutes. And then he said, hey, how's your job going? And I talked for like 12 minutes straight, which is pretty amazing because my brother talks a lot. And I just told him how great it is here, how much positive energy is in this place, and how people like Anna, Grace, I see on here as well, the Easby Smiths, you know, Rich, who's our board chair. There's just so much positive energy here. I mean, there's need. There's no question about it. But there is such pride in this school from the students. You know, I go on these tours, and I go on every one I go on because it gives me a chance to meet the students, which is hard to do sometimes because they're in class or they're working. And, you know, I get to meet them. I get to hear where they're going to school. I listen to their energy about going to a job once a week, whether it's remote or in person, which is obviously much better for our kids. And then they talk about their school. They talk about the academics. They say they wish there were more electives here. It's great. You know, they want French classes. They want more creative writing courses. They're so proud of their gym. I look at the gym and I see, you know, a court that's not regulation size that was built in the 40s for a Catholic elementary school. And I think, oh my God, we need to build it out. We need a bigger gym. They look at it and they're, you know, realize it's not as big as it should be, but they're grateful that they have a gym. They're proud that they have a gym and that their basketball team is playing games and that their volleyball team is playing games. Should we belong to a league? Yes. You know, we're trying to work through that. And the kids, you know, mention that, but they're proud that they're playing their sports. They're proud that they're getting into college. And they're proud that their parents are making a sacrifice to get them here to Don Bosco. So the positive energy is just overwhelming. I mean, I, as Anna mentioned, worked at Save the Children for almost 20 years. I ran their US programs. That organization is in over 200 communities around America. It's doing great work on early childhood education, and it's doing advocacy work on a federal level, trying to pass legislation like President Biden's Build Back Better plan, because it was really, really good for early childhood education. And whether you agree with it or not, the idea of pushing an investment for our youngest kids, and particularly our kids who live in poverty, I think is really important so that they enter kindergarten ready to learn. I came to Don Bosco because it was a chance to be part of a local community. It was a chance to learn. It was a chance to have an impact I hope on a day in and day out basis on young folks who are, you know, like I think about the word grinder, that are grinding away. They're working harder than I ever did at Georgetown Prep. They're going to school. They're taking a tough academic curriculum to go to college, and they're working one day a week. And they're sacrificing, as I told my brother this morning, you know, if you're on the basketball team and you're working at Geico on, you know, Tuesday or Wednesday, you got to work till 5, and then you're missing basketball practice. So that's tough on the basketball team. And the kids are making a sacrifice. But gosh, when you meet them and you see the fact that they're working hard academically and that they are trying, they're involved in extracurriculars and they're going to work one day a week, it's amazing. So, I mean, I could go on and on. I mean, clearly the part of the appeal here was a Catholic institution. You know, Don Bosco's slogan is the school that works. And Anna, Grace, we've talked about it, whether we want to change that, because it is the school that works. And I think that was kind of a play on the fact that these kids are looking for and working in jobs that are exposing them to different environments, that are exposing them to social capital and social networks that so many of us take for granted. But it's also the school that works at our relationship with God. And that's really, really a key component of it. It's the school that works on academics as well. So it is the school that works, but it's not just working in an office setting. It's working on the relationship with God, and it's working on academic excellence. I don't know I'm not a marketing person. I don't know how to kind of compress that into a couple of sentences or even one long sentence, but it really is unique. And I love the fact that every day we're starting it with a prayer, we're ending it with a prayer. There's a chapel, there's a mass here every morning at 7:15. And I'm proud of that Salesian charisma. I didn't know the Salesians very well before I came here. I wrote a book on Pope Francis, which I talked to the network about a number of years ago. Pope Francis' parents were introduced by the Salesians down in Buenos Aires. So that was when I was trying to discern whether this was the right place for me and whether I was the right person for this job. There were a couple of little things that popped up, the Salesians and the fact that they, were very integral in Pope Francis's life. St. Francis de Sales, who is the patron saint of the Salesians of Don Bosco, was also an interesting coincidence. And Charles Abel, who's on our board here, I hired out of college in the late 90s when he was 22 and I was 25. He worked for me up in Baltimore. He brought this idea forward to me. And I said it to my buddy, and then I'll shut up. My buddy, Billy Byrne, who's my college roommate and is now a bishop up in Springfield, Massachusetts. I said to Billy, what do you think? And I told him about the Salesians, and I told him about Charles Abel, and I told him about what I had thought about as I went through the discernment process. And he said, there are no coincidences with God. Something's going on here. You got to really pay attention to it. That's not coincidence. That's just not by luck or by happenstance. So I'm really excited about being at a Catholic institution. I'm excited about Tacoma Park. I told my brother after I rambled on with him that he had to come visit. And he said he would. So we're going to get him out here. We want to spread the word. Last thing I'll say, right, Grace, is, when I was going through the process here, Rich said to me a couple of times, we're the best kept secret in Washington. We don't want to be the best kept secret in Washington. This is a good school filled with good people, and it is a good school that is getting better every day, and it's on the road to greatness. We're good, getting better, headed to great. We need jobs for these young folks. Any sort of experience that you can give them would be great. I used to think it was a clever way to raise money because, when Don Bosco students work at your company, and I know there are a number of job placements here, supporters, you have to pay them. So I thought, wow, that's really clever. The Jesuits figured out a way to make money. And it helps pay the tuition, but it's more importantly, it's giving kids exposures to the world of work that they, in many cases, aren't exposed to in their own homes. And it's a network, as I mentioned before. If our kids, when they graduate from Boston College, and we have a daughter still at Holy Child, and when she goes to college, when they come out of college, if they want to go into the nonprofit world, I call my brother up. If they want to go into the finance world, I call my other brother who worked in finance. If they want to go into the legal system, I can call George Griffin, right? I mean, they want to go work at Brown Advisory or, money management, I call Rich. We all have this social network that in many cases we take for granted. And that is a huge asset for all of us. And what these young folks are building are those relationships. They're being exposed to people like Kevin Verostek at Ernst & Young. They're being exposed to Marty Rogers at Accenture. I mean, these are folks that are, and people at all levels of the organization are mentoring them. And when they graduate from college, they're going to have relationships. And as one mom told me, my kid applies to college, they have 4 years of working on their resume, in addition to the academics they did at Don Bosco, in addition to the extracurriculars. And that's the leg up that Don Bosco is providing these kids, the opportunity. They got to take advantage of it, and they are. So anyways, I'm going to stop, see if there are any questions. I could talk about this little book I wrote called 10 Hidden Heroes, which celebrates a children's book, which did much better than any of the other books I ever wrote. One I wrote on Dad was a bestseller on the New York Times. This one's done better because it's celebrating people that are everyday heroes. It's a kid's book. It's a counting kids book. And, Don Bosco is filled with everyday heroes. They're not making a ton of money. They're not in the shiniest new facility. We're struggling in some areas financially. We're struggling in jobs. But we've also got a great group of people here. We're on the road to better, and we're on the road to great. So if you want to get your life changed, as Rich told me when I first came out here, come visit us. Come to a place where we start the day with a prayer. Come to a place that is based on Jesus's teaching, and come to a place that's filled with a lot of goodness and a lot of hope, because there's a lot going on here. And if you have any job opportunities, I don't know, I assume we're not allowed to shill for our own product here, but our product is young people. So if you've got job opportunities, or you know somebody that might have one, call us up. Anna and I are hustling. We'll go to any meeting. We get turned down a lot, right, Anna?
We do, but we keep going back out there, right? We keep taking more shots.
Yeah, you just got to. You got to get up to the plate. If can't get a hit unless you get up to the plate, and we strike out, or doesn't work out. That's okay. We're spreading the word. So Anna, maybe I'll stop. I can just keep going because there's not even caffeine in my coffee, but I'm so excited to talk about the place. It's really great, and sorry to pick on George and Chad here. I could pick on a bunch of other folks, but come visit us. It's a wonderful place. And folks, go questions. Do people want to ask questions, or do we?
Yeah. So feel free. No, it's great. Feel free to put questions in the chat if you want. Raise your hand, or we're a family-friendly group. If you want to just ask your question, feel free to do so.
Or I can keep rambling. Meagan, inviting me. Congratulations on your new role. I should have started off with that. I even wrote it down. And congratulations to the network. The $1 million that you're doing on scholarships have raised over the course of time is really amazing.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Seriously. And I know that sounds trite and like it's a throwaway line, but that's a lot of hard work. And bucks are
been great.
And it makes a big difference in kids' lives. So seriously, thank you.
Thank you. And I told Anna, we had a nice chat yesterday, and I said, make sure you do the ask. So we appreciate that you went there for the internships or the jobs for students, because that's, part of the reason we had you here today is to get that exposure out there. Annabelle,
hey, Meagan, can I just say one last thing on that? I mean, I did, and I've talked to Lance Ford, who I think might be on this call, and some other folks on our jobs committee. I mean, we are really the students are providing a service to the businesses. So they're paying for the service, but they're getting the service back. They're creating a pipeline of talented kids that are all minorities. A lot of us talk about DEI work and about social justice. And here's a chance to have a young person in your office who, is either, frankly, Hispanics, because we're 83% Hispanic, rest Black or African, diverse population. That's all we got. And all we got is a diverse population that is smart and wants to work hard. And, there are companies that had kids in high school that are hiring them when they graduate from college. One mom told me she's from El Salvador. She works in Potomac. Is a housekeeper in Potomac. Daughter worked herself through Don Bosco, worked scholarship at St. Anselm's, and has got a job on the table in May of this year, working at the accounting firm that she worked at when she was at Don Bosco. She was such a good worker during the academic year that they hired her to work there in the summertime. And I turned to the woman and I said, I'd hire your daughter right now. She worked herself through high school. She worked herself through college. She was an RA at St. Anselm's. She made the honor roll at St. Anselm's. That's pretty good. So if that's the kind of student you're looking for, and you got job opportunities, or someone who runs a big company and they're looking for DEI work, bam, let's go. We got them. Right. And they're great. Sorry, Meagan, I cut you off.
No, thanks, Mark, for that. Ellen Jane, I think you had a question.
Where are how long ago did you graduate your first students? And have you done a survey as to where they are now? Because that we don't know. We know you're doing this now.
Yes.
But what success is, what can you say? These were our first graduates and they are here. And I'd love to see that.
So would I. And we've got to do a better job keeping track of and interacting with our alumni. and, you know, helping them when they graduate from Don Bosco, helping them graduate from college. And we've got some ideas right now, and we're trying to beef up our college placement program and our alumni program. We had somebody who was working here with our alumni who are in college. She left to pursue a master's, which is great. She was an alumni of our university. She's now getting a master's, I think at Trinity, right, Anna, or Catholic?
Right, Trinity.
Trinity. Right. It's a great move for her, left a hole in our system here. We're trying to beef that up. And we have not done as good a job on that as we need to. We need to track those better. And I don't know if, I mean, I know we have an alumni network, but I don't know that we've tracked where they are, what jobs they have. I mean, I know a number of them, a couple of them work here. We have a new theology teacher whose class I went into yesterday, graduated from Georgetown, and he's a theology teacher here. We have an English teacher who just graduated from Maryland, is now teaching here. And wow, they're really good teachers. But we need to do a better job on that.
Yeah, so we are tracking some of them, but I agree, Ellen Jane, we need to do a much better job. We do have over a dozen at this point working full time at our corporate partner sites, which is really exciting, right? They're really creating that impact at the job placement at the company, and obviously the economics for themselves and for their family. But that's a big area of focus for us. Annabelle, I think you had a question. Oh, okay, sorry.
So there is one in the chat here, Anna, from Ann about, thank you for joining us. You're welcome. Thank you for inviting. The in-need students and their families in line at the door to apply. If not, why? What are the roadblocks for family to stay in the program? Great questions. Thank you for asking. So the guy who started the Cristo Ray Network, and there's 38 similar schools all around the country. It was started 30 years ago in Chicago, started by a Jesuit priest. And at the new president's orientation, the first thing he said is, if you can afford to go to a Cristo Rey school, you can't get in. And I was like, wow. So if you can afford to go to Cristo Rey school, Don Bosco Cristo Rey here in Tacoma Park, you can't get in. So it's for kids and families that are struggling financially. So if the kids can afford it, they go to another school that they can afford. We're looking for kids and families that are, you know, the average here is about $35,000 a year for a family of 4. So that qualifies for free and reduced meal. You hear the term FARM, F-A-R-M, free and reduced meals. That's for kids that are families that are at a certain percentage of the federal poverty level. So the first qualification is you have to financially, you can't afford it. And the parents play a sliding fee scale to go here so that they do invest in their children's education. It's not a lot of money to some of us, but it's a lot of money to them. It's, you know, somewhere between up to $1,000, $1,500, which is obviously doesn't cover the cost of the tuition. That's what we've got to raise in the game, in the jobs, and also in private contributions of asking folks to pay for scholarships for our kids. Roadblocks to kids staying here. It's the job. You know, do kids want to make the sacrifice of going to school full time and doing a job once a week? You know, some of the kids move. Some of the kids, you know, struggle academically because we are a college preparatory school. We want our kids to go to Georgetown and Loyola and University of Maryland and you know, great schools all around the country. So I think that the academics is a part of the roadblock. The job is a part of the roadblock. Finances are part of the issue as well. Some kids, you know, have got to work and for their families. And I don't know if you want to add anything on that.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. Students have to be able to both, you know, give it their all in the classroom and at work. And they all have, you know, family and faith commitments too. And sometimes juggling all of that is hard. The other big roadblock for our families is distance. Our students come from over 60 different zip codes in the DC metro area, which just goes to show our kids have real grit and hustle to travel this far to access our education. But as Metro gets more and more expensive or gets less reliable, or, gas prices go up, the transportation gets tough. So another question, and Heather, it's great to see you. I know you and I spoke about the National Association of Broadcasters earlier this week, but your question is adding to the college question. We had that conversation about NAB and the Leadership Foundation. We'll be addressing that need or filling any gap with that age group. So thanks for your willingness to work with us. Heather is an example of somebody who works with one of our former board members, Janice Ackerhausen, to help make sure that pipeline of high school to getting into the broadcast field is fulfilled. Jay Long, thanks so much for all of your support at Rupert and with the Catholic Business Network. You ask how many students and what is our capacity?
It's a great question. So right now we're at about 383 students. We would like to be up around the 425. In the last couple of years, incoming classes have been less. There was less jobs, and we admitted fewer students. We're bumping back up this year, back up to 115. We're bursting at the seams because some of the students who are working at jobs are now teleworking, and they're teleworking from our gym. They're teleworking from our library. There's just so much that we can do here. Anna mentioned, Metro. We have a school bus that the Church Our Lady of Sorrows has given us. We need to pay for a bus driver, which would allow us to go into new communities. So if anybody wants to sponsor a bus driver for us, we can give you a nice grant proposal this afternoon, and you can fund it. We can make that happen, Grace. So it's stuff like that, basic things. We'd like to have a bus system so we could pick up kids in other parts of the city and get them over here. We'd like to expand over potentially into other areas to open up more space for us so that our library is actually a functioning library and the gym is open on a regular basis. What was the question, Anna?
What's our capacity? So you answered capacity, how many students we have.
Yeah, so it's roughly 425. And that's about the size of most Cristo Rey schools across the country. There's a couple that are a little smaller and a couple that are bigger, but they're in that 420 or 400 to 450 range. I was up in Philly the other day, gang, and Philly, they raised $1 million and went in and renovated an abandoned warehouse, and they made a soccer field that looks like Gonzaga or Preps. They made a basketball gym that's there. That's really, really nice. And more importantly, the academic facilities, the labs, and the teacher pay, they bumped it up with the capital campaign. And I walked into that school and I said to the guy who runs it, "We're going to kick your ass." And he's like, "Well, what's your name?" I said, "Mark, I'm so excited to be here. We got to do that in DC. If Philly can do it, we should be able to do that in Maryland. We should be able to do that in the DMV. We should have a field where our kids can compete against any other school where the academics, the labs where they're learning science and chemistry, physics, and the teachers are paid a comparable salary to a public school teacher or what they're paying to Prep or Gonzaga." But that's the challenge. That's the energy around it. Sorry to drop a word at 8:30 in the morning, but that's what we want to do. We want to be competitive. And if our kids, can get into Georgetown and it works financially, great. If their dream is, to go to Morgan or to Howard or to University of Maryland or, whatever, Loyola, we ought to give them the opportunity to realize whatever their dream is.
Well, Mark, I'm sure that's music to Maureen Appel's ears as, she's leading San Miguel, one of our biggest feeder schools. So the idea that we're going to step up our game is great news for our San Miguel grads. So thanks, Maureen, for your comment. San Miguel loves the DBCR interns. They do exceptional and do a great service. Thank you. No, we love our partnership, Maureen. Thanks.
Any other questions or thoughts? Meagan, I don't know the routine here. whether you pivot off. I mean, I'm happy to keep rambling, but I don't know if anybody has any other questions.
Hey, Mark.
Suggestions? Yes, Rich.
I'm going to jump in real quick. Many of you don't know who I am, but I've been involved on the board for probably the better part of the last 10 years, and I've been the board chair. And when Father Mike had to move up to New York for the province, I was asked to jump in, which was a wonderful experience as the interim president. But most of my time during that 5 or 6 months was working on recruiting Mr. Shriver. And I will say, I mean, I've been in law and business for the better part of 40 years, and I've hired a lot of people working with Mark, going through the process, the depth, the detail that we went through was absolutely extraordinary. And the one thing, among many things, but the one thing that stood out most was Mark's deep competitive spirit. And what he just mentioned is really, really true. The Don Bosco Cristo Rey is a fabulous organization, but going back to Ellen Jane's question, we got a long way to go. We had a saying at Brown Advisory where I worked for many, many years. And it was basically, if you're not growing, you're dying. And I think that's true of almost every organization and business and school. We've got to get a lot better. We've got to do a lot more for the kids. And the one thing that you do notice when you look out into the community, there are now 38 Cristo Rey schools around the country. There's about 13,000 students involved in the Cristo Rey program. And when you look out, we're not at the top of the list. We're barely at the middle of the list. And that's a reflection on the Washington community. And we need to do so much better. We need more jobs. We need more Catholic organizations and businesses to step up and sponsor jobs. We need to raise more money through traditional fundraising. And then we can do that much more. Mark, I heard that story about Philadelphia more than a few times. And, he also made mention of doing something similar to Georgetown Prep and Gonzaga. And, we need to be much better. Our kids deserve it. And it's really, really critical in the community. So, I'm thrilled that Mark has taken over, and I think it's going to, bode very well for the school in the long run. But we need your help, and we need to spread the word, and we need people, as Mark said, come to the school, check it out. You'll be blown away. And it's an awesome service. Miss Appel, mentioned San Miguel. We've got a lot of kids from San Miguel, a lot of kids from the Washington Jesuit Academy. We've got a lot of kids from St. Francis International School over at St. Camillus. This is a real pipeline and an incredible service to the community. So please jump in and help us out.
Thanks, Rich. You're 1,000% right. And thank you. I mean, somebody said the other day, shouldn't your students be happy that, they got a basketball court? And the answer is, is it good enough for your kid? And, the facilities and teacher pay and the support that you see at other schools here. Father Van Dyke over at Prep wrote a beautiful note to the Prep community. It was the first time I've ever seen a president of a school, high school, send a note to his community, asking his community to support another school. It was beautiful. But if you want to send your kid to Prep, you ought to want to send your kid to the same, Don Bosco should be at that same level of opportunity. If it's good enough for, your kid, it should be good enough for a kid whose family is struggling financially. And are we there yet? No. Do we need help, Rich? Yes. It's going to be a fun adventure. It already is. And is it a worthwhile adventure? Yep. Keeps me up at night because it's like so much opportunity, but so much important stuff going on. Pope Francis got this great line that I put in my book on him about, you got to get out of your comfort zone. You got to leave comfort on the shore and get out into the water and get your shoes muddy and, get out of your comfort zone. And that was really important for me. I, worked at a place that I, was well compensated, comfortable, and I knew the drill. And I wanted to have a different experience and get out of my comfort zone, and frankly, get my family out of their comfort zone too. And, challenge us. Life is short. We can all sit on our tuchuses and, be comfortable, or we can ask, as Anna does, with me 3 times a day, would you hire one of our kids? And it makes people uncomfortable. That's okay. It's giving them an opportunity, and it's going to change their business. It's going to make their business stronger to bring our kids in there. It's going to, if you can't do that and you're a PR person, come help us figure out our marketing strategy. If you're a lawyer and you can't hire a kid, come help us with legal advice. If you're an HR professional, we don't have an HR department. We don't have an HR person. I mean, we have an HR person who's also our finance person, who's also our facilities management person. If you're a facilities management person, come help us. If you want to sponsor a kid, we got a Don Bosco scholarship. It's $5,000 a year, which is not what it really costs. It should be more, but that's what Rich decided, and I'm inheriting it. So sponsor a kid. Get out of your comfort zone. As Pope Francis is asking us to do, and do stuff that, we're not used to. All right, I'm done, Megan. Thank you. Thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate it. And I hope we, thank you. If we can get together, I'd love a cup of coffee. It's such a drag being on Zoom, right? Drinking by yourself is brutal. So
Perfect.
Megan, thank you.
Thank you so much, Mark. Thank you so much, Anna. This was so wonderful. Mark, we look forward to having you at a future meeting, but we will have the decaf ready for you. So don't worry about it. We got you covered.
Thank you.
Thank you. We are going to stick around for needs and leads. So if anybody has anything they would like to share with the group, this is a traditional part of our in-person meeting. If you have a need for your business, if you're looking for a particular kind of business, if you have a job opening at your company, please let us know, but I will leave it up to you. You're welcome to unmute yourselves and share your needs and leads.
Thank you, Megan. Hi, my name is Trin. I am the brand ambassador for Serpro of Rockville Oni. We do fire and water restoration. We actually do have 2 job openings. If you all know, one is a receptionist, or just a front desk person. And we have one for project manager, one of the crew leaders for restoration. So hope you keep that in mind. Thank you.
Thank you, Trin. Appreciate it.
Hi, I'm Annabelle Quintero with MV Financial. I'm also a board member for CBN, and it looks like we have a lot of financial people on the line. Our firm is looking for a service advisor position. So if you know anybody, please reach out to me. Thank you.
Annabelle, do they need to be licensed?
I don't know if they have to, but they have to be willing to get licensed. Yes.
Thank you.
Megan, hi, this is Tom Higgins. This is my first time at CBN, so I don't have a need per se, but I was invited by Deanne O'Brien, from M&T Bank, after inviting me, promptly told me she was going to be out of town. So I am flying solo and have no idea what to expect. But I will say that as a first-time attendee here, this has been a fantastic meeting. I love the fact that attending a business meeting on a Friday morning where I hear Jesus mentioned and religious teaching, it just really uplifting, really great. So happy to be here. Look forward to learning more about everyone in CBM in the future.
We're glad to have you. Thank you so much, Tom.
Tom, I'm going to jump on that because I'm the director of membership for CBN. So anybody who's on this call who has not joined CBN, we would absolutely love to have you. Additionally, we are looking at adding and sort of building our base, and we're looking at bringing in new sort of younger executives or up and coming executives. We're looking at like recent college grads who would like to get into CBN. We're planning an event for next month in March. It's going to be tied around the basketball tournament. So if you know kids who are recent college grads who've been out of school for the last couple of years, who are in the DMV that would love to participate in our activities and support Catholic education, please send me their names. I would love to send them an invitation. And additionally, jumping on the concept of doing something out of your comfort zone. About 6 months ago, I joined a new firm, which is a totally new industry for me. So I know I'm like the world's oldest rookie sales rep here, but I work for a company called DCA Imaging. It's a great company. We do office technology and IT. So if you have any needs along that line, please just look me up, Courtney Ladico. Would love to just talk to you about it.
Thank you so much, Courtney.
Welcome.
Anyone
Thanks.
else? All right, my friends, thank you all so much for a wonderful meeting. We're looking forward to seeing everybody in March. You will see more information about that soon, but I hope you all have a wonderful Friday and a great weekend. Thank you.
Thanks.